Imagine a world where a 60% close rate for your high ticket offer wasn't only exciting, but expected. You're continuously enrolling your dream clients with authoritative leadership at a price point that you're excited about and that your clients are happy to pay. You're finally hitting those 6 and even 7-figure months, even if your marketing is fluctuating and going up and down. You finally built the coaching business of your dreams, all made possible by improving this one single metric: your close rate. When most coaches try to scale, they focus on things like building new funnels, increasing their ad spend, posting more organic content on social media, sending more cold DMs. They constantly focus on increasing their lead flow, which is time-consuming, expensive, and volatile. And on top of that, what's the point of generating more leads just to get on more calls with more prospects that have more objections? You're already getting on calls with qualified prospects just to get to the end of the call and hear things like, "I can't afford it," or "let me check in with my spouse and I'll get back to you," just to get ghosted and never hear back from them again. Now, obviously, lead flow is important, but when lead flow is paired with an insignificant close rate, sub 60%, that's when things become a problem. Your business becomes increasingly more difficult to scale because you're spending so much time, effort, energy, and money in the marketing department just to get on sales calls with qualified prospects that ultimately don't buy. You start running out of time, money, and patience pretty quick. Now listen closely. I'm about to reveal to you my untalked about secret on how you can increase your close rate, cash collected, and ultimately your business without having to touch your existing marketing, generate more leads, or spend any more time inside of your business than you're already spending. My name is Austin Medlin, and in the past 5 years, I've taken over 7,000 one-to-one high-ticket sales calls, and I've closed north of $7 million in coaching sales. I led the way for ad outreach to scale to $1.7 million a month and land on the Inc. 5000 2 years in a row for fastest growing privately owned companies in America. I also scaled the recruiting accelerator from $25,000 a month to $250,000 a month in 10 months. And I took Rachel at the Specialty Coaching Academy from $100,000 a month to $550,000 a month in less than 14 months. And on top of that, I just built my own offer, closesales.com, from 0 to 7 figures in less than a year. I've been able to do all of this by consistently closing over 60% on high ticket offers and doing the exact opposite of what everybody else in the marketplace is doing. The reality is sales and scale has become increasingly more difficult because your prospects have become more and more skeptical. They're aware of marketing gimmicks and they're already showing up to your sales calls skeptical and jaded. And then when you get on the call and do the same closer framework that every other coach is doing, you're doing exactly what they thought you would do, and they've heard it time and time again, and they've already been burned in the past by people saying and doing the exact same thing as you. That's why you need a new way to sell and scale high ticket offers. A way that relies on natural human to human communication and interaction, and a way that ensures that your prospect knows you're not just another salesperson. The reason over the past 5 years I've closed north of 60% and last month closed at 91% is because I have an unfair advantage in the marketplace. And that advantage is my new way to sell and scale high ticket offers. And the best part about the new way of selling is it hasn't just worked for me, but I've effectively taught it to over 350 other coaches, which has generated north of $100 million in high ticket coaching sales. The new way of selling will help you increase your close rate, your cash collected, your price point, and optimize all of your sales systems. And what that means for you is even if your marketing is fluctuating up and down, you can have 100% confidence and certainty that the prospects that are on your calendar are going to buy, they're going to pay you what you're worth, and they're going to have little to no objections, which means you can keep bringing in cash. So if you want the same strategy that I've personally used to close north of $7 million in high ticket sales, the same strategy that 350 other coaches have used to generate over 100 million, I've boiled everything that I learned over the past 5 years down into the next few minutes of training. The secret to everything I've accomplished in the coaching space can be summed up in these 5 letters: the RFPDP Method. And what that stands for is rapport, frame, pain, discovery, pitch. And it's the recipe for you to have a successful sales call where at the end of the call, the only question your prospect will have is, do you take American Express? If you don't have a pen and paper, pause this video and go grab one. You're going to want to write this down. I'm going to break down each of these sections one by one and show you how you can install it into your business. But just remember, the key to a successful sales call is having authoritative leadership. One of the big common misconceptions in the world of sales is that you need your prospects to like you, which is actually not true. We need our prospects to trust us, not like us, in order to buy from us. So if we start with rapport, the purpose is to quickly connect at the beginning of the call, not to become best friends or spend 10 minutes chatting about football or your hometown. Too much rapport diminishes your authoritative leadership. Think about it. Your prospect is here selfishly to find a solution to their problems. They don't care about you yet, because they will once they hire you and you change their life. They don't care about where you're from, the weather, or your favorite sports team. A good rapport needs to be less than 30 seconds. And I ask these same two questions every single time. How's your week going so far? And if it's a Monday or a Tuesday, I add in, are you off to a good start? The reason I don't say, hey, how's your day? Because everybody else is doing that. Then I ask, where are you located? I don't care where they're located. I'm not hoping they're located somewhere that I've traveled or somewhere that has a sports team that I like. I'm actually doing this so I can understand their time zone and if there's a currency exchange difference. Now, let me teach you something really cool. Collapsing the gaps of silence. And here's what I mean. When I say, hey, Johnny, how's the week going for you so far? And he says, oh, Austin, the week is going good. As soon as he finishes the D in good, I immediately start talking and move on to my next question. How often have you asked somebody, hey, how's your day? And they say, oh, my day is going good. And you don't immediately start talking. So what do? How's your day going? But what did we just discuss? Your prospects are here selfishly because they want to find a solution to their problems, not because they care about you or your day. By collapsing the gaps of silence, we're building our authoritative leadership and we're taking direction of the call. And remember, we're only 7 seconds into the call and we're already establishing ourselves as the leader. So they say their day is going good. I immediately jump in. Awesome, man. Where are you located? And then they tell me, oh, I'm in San Diego. O, as soon as they finish the O in San Diego, I jump in with my frame. If you don't fill that gap of silence, human nature is they will then fill the gap for you and start asking you questions that they really just don't care about. As soon as they get done telling you where they're from, we can then move on to our frame. Now, the purpose of the frame is to take leadership of the call and tell the prospect exactly what's going to happen over the next 30 minutes to an hour. We want to instill confidence that they will receive value, their time will not be wasted, and they'll be in a better place after this call than when they started it. Your frame is very short, and the easiest way to demonstrate the frame is by just giving you the script. But if I were to do this off the top of my head, I would say, hey, Johnny, I have the notes you submit over in front of me, but I definitely have some additional questions. I want to dive a little bit deeper. Really, just want to see if I can help you. If everything looks good, I'll build you out some higher level strategy and show you what it would look like to partner up. And if everything looks bad for whatever reason, hopefully at the very least, I can point you in a different direction. Cool? And 100% of the time, they put their thumb up and they say, great. And you see them kind of relax into their chair because they know that A, you've done this before, and B, you are the leader that they've so desperately been looking for. A common misconception when framing a call or really big sales names in the space, they'll tell you to say things like, yeah, I know we've been chatting on Instagram. I know you sent over some notes, but what I found best on these calls is just to start over from scratch from the beginning. When you say things like that, how do you think that makes your prospect feel? Hey, why did you send me an application with 12 questions to fill out? Why did I take the time to do that if we're just going to throw it out the window and start over? Now they feel like their time is being wasted and they get upset. Instead of doing that, I'm acknowledging that I have the notes, so I have a good understanding of where they're at and where they're looking to go. But I definitely have some additional questions. I want to dive a little bit deeper. Really? Just want to see if I can help them. And one note here, this needs to be dialed. You should be able to rattle off a frame at any given point. If you dumped a bucket of cold water on my head at 3:45 in the morning and said frame a call, I could spit this out word for word for word. If you're stuttering and stumbling on your frame, you're losing your authoritative leadership and ultimately building objections, which come back to bite you later on in the call. And then one more note down here, don't say, here's how these calls typically go. People love customization. And when you tell them, here's how all these calls go, they feel like they're just another number on your calendar. They don't feel special. They don't feel like you really care. And ultimately, they don't buy. Now that we've done rapport and frame, we can move on to pain. Pain is why are they here? What do they need? How can we help? And so the easiest question to ask, hey, yeah, so Johnny, like I said, I have the notes, but I would love to hear from you directly. What's got you on the call today, man? What can I do to help you out? This is a very soft and open-ended pain question. If you wanted to be more specific, you could insert your offer in these gaps and you could say something like, yeah, so Johnny, what's going on in terms of sales and marketing that's got you reaching out for a bit of help? Either of these will work. And then I have some examples down here if you were a fitness coach. Again, the most important piece is why are you here? What do you need? How can I help? I don't care about anything else. So we do rapport quick, we frame the call quick, and then we ask our opening pain question. And we've done all of this in 2 minutes or less. That is the secret sauce. Most people are building rapport for 4, 5, 8 minutes, and their authoritative leadership is off the cliff. Because although your prospect is being friendly and kind of bantering with you back and forth, in the back of their head, they're thinking, I don't care. I want help with my weight, with my marketing, with my sales, with whatever your offer may be. That's what they're thinking about. So the sooner we can get down to it, the better your calls will go. Okay, now we're on to the important stuff. Actually, the most important and mission critical piece of a sales call, which is discovery. The purpose of your discovery is to uncover the specifics of their situation and to handle all potential objections before the end of the call. How many times have you gotten to the end of your sales call just to hear things like, hey, all of this sounds great, but now's not a good time. Hey, I really want to do it. I just got to check in with my wife. In a sales call, we need two things. We need to align their head with their heart in order to get them to buy. Discovery aligns their heart because it gives them the emotional attachment to you because you're taking 10, 12, 15, 20 minutes, as long as you need to take to ask deep, intelligent questions, which the prospect recognizes in their head, wow, this person is an expert, and not only an expert, but they really care about me. You can think of discovery like ping pong. It's Q, A, Q, A, back, forth, over and over and over again. The golden rule of discovery is you never pitch during discovery. And when I say pitch, I also mean you don't want to make any statements. You ask an intelligent question, they give you an answer, and then you ask another deep, intelligent question to follow it up. It's ping pong back and forth, QA over and over until all the information is out on the table. Another rule of discovery is you never let people speak to you in relative terms. You always get the absolutes. A relative term means if you asked me, you, and 12 other people to define what it meant, we would all have kind of similar, maybe different definitions. Absolutes, 2 plus 2 is 4, me, you, and 12 other people would all have the exact same answer. I'll give you an example. If somebody says, yeah, I'm working a job that I really don't like, what does that mean? You don't like what? You don't like the money, you don't like the hours, you don't like that it's remote and you'd rather be in person, you don't like your boss. Like, hey, when you say you don't like it, what do you mean by that specifically? So we're following up their answer with deeper, intelligent questions so we can get down to the absolutes. If you're getting spoken to in relative terms, it forces you to guess and gamble, and guessing and gamble is a surefire way to tank your close rate. Now, there's 10 topics that we must cover on every single sales call, and I'll run through them quickly. Pain, which remember, rapport, frame, pain, you're always gonna get, and you do this first. Then we have timing, finances, partner, current situation, goals, past, doubt, comparison, and trust. Now, something to note is these are done in no specific order besides the first and besides the last. We always start with pain and we always end with trust. The order of these 8 quite literally do not matter. We will get them however we get them, but we want it to be a free flowing, natural conversation with our prospect while we check our boxes. If you go into your call with a line itemed out script and you force your prospect into that box, your call is going to be super choppy. And remember, we need to align their head and their heart. We can't align their heart if we're whiplashing them with a super choppy discovery process. We want to keep this process conversational, not super rigid and super choppy. You must become the master of flow. Just make sure while you flow, you're checking your boxes along the way. So I'll give you a couple questions that you can ask for each of these topics. Pain, we already hit. What's going on in terms of blank that got you on the call today? And then here, we can dive a little bit deeper. Hey, if you're saying blank is the biggest challenge, what do you mean by that specifically? How long has that been going on for? Hey, if blank has been an issue for the past 7 years, why are you reaching out all of a sudden now? We can ask what's not working and where are they stuck. Timing, we want to know timing in 2 regards. Number 1, do they have the bandwidth to do your program? If your program requires 5 to 7 hours a week, that's a discovery question. Hey, by the way, I know you want to lose weight. How many hours per week do you think you could put into your weight loss journey? If they say 1 to 2, you need to tell them your program requires 5 to 7, and we either need to stretch the capacity that they have for their weight loss goals, or we need to get off the call because they're simply not a good fit. Timing is also, besides capacity and bandwidth to do the program, it's when do they actually want to start the program? Is it today? Is it tomorrow? Or is it next year? So we can ask, if you were able to find a way to solve blank, when would you be looking to do that? It's not, hey, when would you want to start my program? We're in discovery. They don't know about your program. And this is when people will say, well, how much is your program? How much does it cost? How does it work? And then we're forced to give the answers to those questions, because if they ask a direct question, you should always give a direct answer. So we want to avoid that by talking about solving their problem, not about starting your program. We can then dig deeper and we can say, why now though? What shifted? Was there a moment where enough was enough? Where you decided that staying where you're at right now is no longer tolerable? Now, finances is something that can sometimes be inferred. If your prospect has a 6-figure job or business, you can sometimes, if you want, assume that they can afford it, but it's always good to confirm. You can say, how much revenue did your company do last month? Or how much revenue do you generate from your full-time job? You can also add in here 4 questions back to back to back, which make getting their income effortless. What you do is you say, hey, by the way, Johnny, what do you do for work? That's question number 1. Then you follow it up right when he says, oh, I'm an engineer. Cool, man. How long have you been doing that? Do you like it? How much money do you make doing that? So you kind of slot in that last question of how much money do you make on the back of 3 other quick cut consecutive questions. So it flows super naturally and they always give you the number without hesitation. And then getting down granular, you can ask, is that gross or is that net? Do you use that to support your entire household, or do you have a spouse or partner that contributes as well? This also helps you gain clarity on if they have a partner or spouse in general. Another question you can ask is, if you found a solution to help you solve blank, what does your budget look like in terms of getting support with that? And then obviously if finances are tight, hey, I know finances are tight right now, but the real issue isn't your lack of finances. The real issue is always going to be a lack of resourcefulness. Assuming it makes sense for us to work together, are you willing to let me help you get resourceful so we can help you accomplish insert goal? If finances are tight, you can always price drop during discovery just to get a temperature check of where they're at. If your program is $5K and they're literally telling you, I make $800 a month at whatever job, and they don't have savings and they don't have anybody else supporting them, it is appropriate to tell them, hey man, full transparency, my program is a one-time investment of just $5K. Just kind of wanted to see where you're at with that. Obviously, I haven't walked you through the program and all the nitty-gritty details of what you get with it. I just wanted to be transparent and upfront, because the last thing I want to do is get you excited about a program that ultimately you can't afford. And then based on their response of that statement, you then gauge, are they willing to get resourceful? Do they have money somewhere else that they can pull from? Or is the 5K so astronomically out of the budget that this is simply an unfinancially qualified prospect? And then we save ourselves the next 48 minutes by getting off the call right then and there. Moving on down to partner, the easiest way to get partner is if they ever say the word we, then you can ask, hey, Johnny, I noticed you said the word we a few times. Who's we? It's not enough just to know that they have a partner. We must then dig deeper. Ah, gotcha. Do they know that you're on this call today? Do they need to be involved in making a decision in terms of blank? Would it be better to get them on a call so I can walk you guys through the strategy together? And then if they never say the word we, you can ask, do you run the business by yourself or do you have any other partners? Hey, are you going on this weight loss journey by yourself or are you including anybody else in your family on this journey with you? You can also ask, hey, Johnny, I know you said that you want to blank. Do you have a partner or spouse that you talk to about achieving that? We always want to know if they have a partner and we want to know, did you tell your partner you were on this call? Why or why not? Hey, does your partner support you in your weight loss goals? Or has this been something you've been talking to with your partner for the past couple of years, maybe even decades, and they're kind of sick and tired of hearing about it? We want to understand the dynamic of the partner early and often during discovery, because if it makes sense to get their partner on a call because they are indeed going to be involved in a decision, we want to finish our discovery. And then rather than moving on into our pitch, we say, hey, Johnny, I'm 100% confident that I can help you. I've helped this many clients accomplish this many great things. But because you said that Rebecca needs to be involved, let's book a follow-up call with Rebecca so I can walk you guys through the program together and help you make the best decision for your family. You never, ever want to pitch if all decision makers are not present on that call. Moving on to their current situation, you guys are probably really good at getting this. Let's take a look at what you're currently doing. How many resumes did you send out last month? Leads did you generate last month? Pounds did you lose last month? How about the month before that and the month before that? Do you have a proven and predictable process set up to land more interviews, lose more weight, whatever it may be? Current situation is typically pretty easy for people to get, but obviously we want to have a baseline of where we're at today. That way we can help them craft the journey for where they want to be tomorrow. Down on goals, that's also probably pretty easy for you to get. So where do you want to be in terms of blank in the next insert length of your program? If your program is 3 months, you don't say, hey, where do you want to be 6 months from now? Because it's incongruent with the length of your program. And then you can, of course, dig deeper on goals. Hey, makes sense. Why is that important to you? Why do you want to get from 180 down to 150? Why do you want to get from this job to this job? Now, I think the most overlooked and underrated discovery topic is past. Past gives you so much critical information for the rest of the call. If you're not doing past, you're leaving so much money on the table, it's absurd. And what the past means is what have they done in the past to help them solve whatever it is you're going to help them solve. You can ask things like, have you ever hired an expert or coach in supporting you in accomplishing blank before? If they say yes, you say, awesome. How did that work out for you? What did you like about working with that coach? What else did you like? What did you not like about that last relationship? What questions do you wish you would have asked before hiring them? And then, of course, you want to know, hey, how much did that cost you? If they say, no, I've never hired a coach before, then out of curiosity, why not? I love when people have hired a coach before because by asking, hey, what did you like about working with them? Oh man, I loved the one-on-one support. I'm writing that down and I'm going to emphasize the one-on-one support when I get to my pitch. If they tell me that they hated the group calls because there was 39 people on there typing in the chat box, hoping to get their questions answered, and most of the time they never did, I can then emphasize how my group calls are different in my pitch. Doubt is simply asking why they can't do it on their own. Why do you need me? Why can't you just go figure out whatever it is you're trying to figure out with Google and ChatGPT and YouTube University and on the internet? Why do you need me or somebody like me's help? So you can say, I mean, you sound pretty clear on what you want. Why can't you just achieve blank on your own? Yeah, but why not just do it on your own though? So here's an example. So inconsistent sales is keeping you from having the cash flow necessary to be able to hire on a team and ultimately scale your business to 100K a month. Is that right? Yep. So if sales is the biggest bottleneck to getting to 100K a month, I mean, What's been stopping you from figuring it out on your own? Sounds pretty important. Now they're selling you on the idea that they've been trying to figure it out on their own and they're sick and tired of being sick and tired, and it's time to bring in an expert to finally help them. Comparison is also overlooked a tremendous amount of times. Before finding me, have you been out there looking for anyone or anything else that could potentially help you solve blank? If they say, oh, yeah, I took another call with another person, great, tell me about it. And then the magic question is, why didn't you sign up with them, or why didn't you hire them? And it's crazy how much information you'll get with this very simple question. Why didn't you hire them? Oh, dude, they were super expensive. Well, how much was their program? Yeah, dude, this guy wanted like $1,500. Well, if your program is 5K and they've now told you that 1,500 was a lot of money, we need to start asking some deep, intelligent questions to understand where we're at with this prospect. Hey, was $1,500 a lot of money just like in general? Or are you saying that the value of their program wasn't worth 1,500 and that's why you didn't hire them? There's a big difference between 1,500 just being a lot of money to them, or 1,500 wasn't worth the value of that coach. Those are two totally different things. But if we don't ask, we don't know. And then if they say, no, I haven't talked to anybody else, it's like, yeah, why not though? Is this just not that important to like do some research and get some help? Or I guess I'm just curious why you haven't booked any other calls, talked to any other people. Or maybe they tell you, hey, you're the first person I'm talking to, but I have a couple of other calls lined up. Cool, man. When are those calls scheduled for? Hey, let me ask you a question. If I present to you the exact process that you've been looking for, the strategy makes sense, the price makes sense, you like me, you want to work with me, are you still going to take those other calls, or would you be ready to rock and roll and hit the ground running today? If they tell me they're going to take those other calls, I know it's going to be really hard to one call close this prospect, and that's going to shape the way that I run through my pitch, objection handle, and stay in the buying pocket at the end of the call. And then the last piece is trust. This is the most simple trust question that you can ask. Hey, Johnny, have you been following me for a long time, or am I a little bit newer on your radar? What this question does is it's allowing you to gauge how much of a credibility statement you're about to make. If they're brand new to you, then you want to transition out of your discovery into your pitch by saying something like, hey, Johnny, I'm 100% confident that I can help you, but I want you to know, although you're new to me, I'm not new to doing this. Insert credibility statement. If it was my credibility statement, it would say, I've been building coaching companies and taking sales calls for the past 5 years. I built one company to 1.7 million a month. I built this company behind me to $250,000 a month. I built that company behind me to $550,000 a month. And I've taken over 7,000 high ticket sales calls, and I've helped my 350 clients generate over $100 million in high ticket sales. Remember, we need to align their head with their heart. And while you're doing a deep intentional discovery, their heart is being pulled towards you. They feel seen, heard, and understood. And they're already assuming that you're really good at what you do. Your credibility statement here will tie it all together and all make sense for them. My favorite phrase is people will gauge your level of intelligence based on the quality of the questions that you ask, not the statements that you make. So by spending 10, 12, 15, 20 minutes in discovery asking deep, intelligent questions, your prospects are gauging your level of intelligence. They want to work with you, and we haven't made a single statement up until this point. Once you do trust and you figure out how much credibility to drop on them based on how long they've been following you, how much they know about you, were they a referral, were they a cold prospect, we can then do our credibility and transition into our pitch. Now, your pitch is comprised of another PDP, and it's pillars, delivery, price drop. The purpose is to clearly and specifically tie your offer back into your prospect's pain points and their current situation. You want to show them the light at the end of the tunnel using your vehicle, aka your coaching program, to help them get there faster. And you want to reiterate that you understand where they're at right now and where they want to go in the near future, and that you, the coach, the expert, has a clear and specific method for them to get there by hiring and working with you. Your pitch is going to be about 10 to 15 minutes, and here are the rules when doing your pitch. Clarity when describing your deliverables and price. You only present one offer. I don't care if you have 39 offers, you only present one. When you present two or three or 12, it's too much information and it always leads to the objection of, can you send this to me in writing? You want to move through your pitch slowly and constantly check in and ask if they have any questions. In discovery, we've aligned their heart. In our pitch, we align their head, but we need them to pick up what we're putting down and understand what we're walking them through, because a confused buyer never buys. You also want to pay attention to verbal and, more importantly, non-verbal cues. When you check in and say, hey, Johnny, does that make sense? And he kind of sits back and touches his face and says, yeah, no, I think that makes sense. That's bad verbal and nonverbal cues. So we need to check in. Hey, you seem a little unsure. Like, this is really important because this is the strategy to help you accomplish X. And I want to make sure you're picking up what I'm putting down. So where can I back up, shine some more light, and give you the clarity that you need? I strongly discourage graphics or PowerPoints. Again, what I said earlier in this training is people love customization. And when you're walking them through a pre-made Canva graphic, you're quite literally saying that they're just another number on the call. And graphics also lead to the objection of, hey, could you just send me this graphic? I want to kind of break it down and review it. By not using graphics and saying something like, hey, Johnny, do you have a pen and paper? You're going to want to write this down. You're forcing them to be more attentive and paying attention by taking notes along the way. So your pillars are the 2 to 4 main selling points of your offer. They need to be unique, but also simple to digest and understand, but it also leaves them feeling like they can't do this without you. Once you present one single pillar slowly and clearly, and they're taking notes along the way, you then want to stop after that first pillar and say, hey, Johnny, how do you feel about that? Hey, Johnny, is this making sense? Hey, Johnny, any questions? Then once you've answered their questions and they're feeling really good about pillar 1, you then go on to pillar 2. If we take a fitness coach as an example, one of your pillars could be fitness. You walk them through how you customize their program week after week after week, and you update it to make sure they never plateau. And then you stop and check in. Once they say, dude, that's amazing, that's exactly what I was looking for, maybe your next pillar is nutrition. You do the same thing and you walk them through how you're going to update their meal plan every other week, and you're going to do their macros for their body. Science, really cool, great. You stop and check in. And then maybe your third pillar is that you're actually going to teach them what they need. Once they graduate your program, they'll have all the tools, skills, and resources that they need to keep the weight off for good. So we have fitness, nutrition, and education are our 3 pillars. Once we stop at the end of pillar 3 and ask if they have any questions, we then temperature check all 3 of the pillars together. You don't want to move on until they're 100% bought in on the strategy. If you go to your delivery and start talking about how the program works, and then you go on to your price and start giving them the investment, if we don't have a 100% buy-in on the strategy, they simply won't buy. So my favorite temperature check is really simple. Hey, Johnny, how are you feeling about this process to help you accomplish X? And again, we pay attention to their verbal response as well as their non-verbal response. What a lot of people do is the scale 1 to 10. The reason I don't really like this is because when they say, yeah, I'm an 8, well, what does an 8 mean? Back to the relative terms, it's kind of arbitrary. And then they always say, well, like, I just don't know what it cost. Right now, they're kind of rushing us through our pitch portion of the call. So I go with this. How are you feeling about the process? And then I can kind of gauge a 1 to 10 of how they respond. If you want to go with this, hey, Johnny, on a scale 1 to 10, how are you feeling about the strategy? 1 being you hate me and you're ready to get off this call. And 10 being this is exactly what you've been looking for to help you accomplish X. Where are you at? Once we have buy-in on our pillars, on our strategy, we then go into delivery. Delivery is the length of your program and how you'll be supporting them throughout that duration of time. You can break up the presentation of your delivery by days. Hey, on day 1, we'll get you on this call. On day 2, we'll get you on this group. By day 10, we'll get this ad launched or whatever your offer may be. But you don't want to go into the specifics of what time the group calls are, how many people are on the calls, how many hours of content and modules they have to watch. Brevity is key here. And by brevity, I mean short and concise delivery of information. That way they can digest it You don't want to seed objections by oversharing information. And if your program isn't really like a day one, week one, month one kind of program delivery, you can just simply explain how you'll be supporting them. Hey, Johnny, we're going to work together for the next 12 weeks. In those 12 weeks, you're going to get 9 one-on-one calls with me. You're going to get a group call once a week, every week for all 12 weeks. And then you'll also have 2 years access to my backend modules. And we have a Slack community where you can share your wins, ask your questions, and network with other people inside the program that are on a similar journey as you. Delivery is very short because if they're bought in on the strategy, they don't really care. They don't care if you host your modules on Kajabi or Thinkific. They don't care if your group calls are on a Monday or a Wednesday. They don't care if you use Slack or Facebook Messenger. It's kind of irrelevant. We just want to give them, here's the length of the program. Here's the very quick bullet points of how you'll be supported inside of the program. Do you have any questions? Once we're done with our pillars and our delivery, we move on to our price drop. And after taking 7,000 sales calls and trying quite literally every price drop that you could imagine, the best price drop is the paid in full price drop. Yeah, Johnny, so in order to work together to help you accomplish insert goal over the next 12 weeks, it's either 2 payments of $4,500 or a one-time investment of just $7K. Stop talking. What you're doing here psychologically for the prospect is you're telling him the program is $9,000, but I'm willing to discount it down to $7,000 if it's paid in full upfront right now. Most coaches are price dropping and saying, yeah, it's just $7K. And if their prospect doesn't have the full $7K to pay in full, they then want to stretch the program up to $9K, which is adding interest because they can't pay it in full. I'm doing the exact same thing, but psychologically, I'm saying the program is $9K, but I'll discount it to $7K if you can pay it in full. And if they can't, no harm, no foul. We put the $9K on a payment plan, all good. Another price drop that you can play with, which I haven't seen work that well, but some people like it, is the fast action discount. In order to help you accomplish insert goal over the next insert length of program, it's a one-time investment of just $9K. But honestly, the people who get the best results in my program are the action takers. They close the door on everything else and they jump into work together with me immediately. I want to reward those people, so the investment is actually discounted down to just $7K today. I've played around and taken thousands of calls using both of these. The problem with the fast action discount is if they don't buy it today, they're not going to come back tomorrow and pay the higher price. They already feel like they've missed the boat. I would go with the paid in full discount. It works like a charm. It's beautiful, and it will increase your close rate in a big way. And then the last note here, the better your discovery, the better your pitch. You're going to have way more information, which makes it far more customized and relatable to them. It doesn't feel like just some cookie cutter generic program that they've heard before from all of your competitors. Because remember, if we can ask them questions like, hey, what have you tried in the past? What did you like? What did you not like? All of that information then gets tied back into our pitch. So using that example, when we do our delivery and we talk about the group calls, we can say, yeah, we have a group call once a week, every week for all 12 weeks. And remember how you said in that other program you did 2 years ago, there was like 1 million people on the group call spamming the chats and the bot, Yeah, we don't have any of that. We make sure that we go through each individual person and make sure every question is answered before we get off the call. Better discovery equals better pitch and better discovery equals higher close rate. Higher close rate means bigger business, more money in your pocket, and more lives changed. The RFPDP method, when implemented and executed properly, is the secret to finally scaling your coaching company. Listen, I could ramble on and on for the next 29 hours about sales, but if you're serious about scaling the coaching business of your dreams, scroll down below and book in a one-on-one call with me. On this call, I'll help you customize the entire RFPDP method based on your offer, ideal clients, and price points. And on top of that, I'll show you how to install it into your business. If you're ready to scale your business and stop being so tied to the whim and volatility of your marketing, scroll down below and book a call with me. And let's just look at the risks. You're gambling 1 hour of your time in hopes that I'm even half as good as I say I am. But the question becomes, What if I am? What if what you learn on this call by customizing the RFPDP method and installing it into your business is exactly what you need to hit 6 or even 7 figures per month? I've spent tens of thousands of hours taking sales calls, coaching my clients, and reviewing their sales calls. If you're a high ticket coach with a $2 to $100,000 offer and you're taking at least 10 to 15 sales calls per month, but you're closing less than 60% of those calls, I'm confident I can help you. If you're serious about scale and you're tired of hearing objections that you simply don't know how to handle, scroll down below and book a call with me. I specialize in helping my clients scale with quantum leaps and hyper growth. This call should probably come with a warning. Warning, you're going to make way more money and you're going to have tax problems at the end of the year. I've helped clients scale multi 6, 7, and even 8-figure companies. If you're taking at least 10 to 15 calls per month, you're struggling to handle objections, and you're looking for a new way to sell and scale, scroll down below, book in a call, and I'll see you there.